Assalamu alaikum guys. This might be a short vlog because I am about to go be a speaker at a panel in a masjid talking about what modesty means to me. And this is what I'm doing. I'm doing like this wine red type of look and I want to take you guys with me. I'm nervous. This is gonna be my second time speaking in front of people, but my first time as a panelist and not as a host. So inshallah, it's gonna go great. It's gonna be good. I'm excited but nervous at the same time. And I'm late, so I gotta go. This is how you know I'm Somali, because I am horribly late and I'm standing here recording. So let's go.
After that, put your water, whatever that is. Like usually it's double, right?
My name is Samira Jalani. I emailed Idil, not to brag or anything, but Assalamualaikum, Nafiza. My name is Noel.
As it should be.
Hi, my name is Fatima.
Hi, Fatima.
We need more modest clothing for girls playing sports. I never once thought of like activewear. And then the next year we worked with moms and their daughters, and then you can just see like how active the moms became more simply because of like having access to like clothing that was modest. And then I went in and was like, you know what? If the girls are enjoying it and all ages of walks of life are enjoying it, I need to do something about it. And then it became very evident when there was a game I was coaching basketball, and this little girl, I still remember her till this day, and she still knows I tell the story. She literally ripped her hijab off because it kept frustrating her. And then I felt guilty as a coach, like I'm taking these girls away from their moms and telling them, oh, the girls are going to be modest. They're not going to take off their hijab, and they're not going to like wear shorts or any of that. But then the girls are over here ripping off their hijab in the middle of the game in front of, I know I shouldn't think about what other people think, but in front of like non-Muslims. And then I'm over here saying, what are they thinking? Are they thinking of forcing the girls to wear hijab? Right. So that like made me like, we need to figure out a better way to like create more inclusive activewear. Because I'm getting a lot of feedback from a lot of folks, and especially like the idea of modesty in different body types is really hard.
Yes.
And I'm learning. So it's like, yes, I can offer up to 5XL, but not every body type is the same. So,
yes.
And my mom keeps yelling at me. She's like, gotta be inclusive. You gotta be inclusive for a woman like me. Like, you guys are still little girls. Your body is not the same as like every older person's body.
It's definitely for a thinner.
Yes. Inshallah, we'll see where it goes in the next few years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And now we'll be having Zara recite AS 26 and 27 from Surah Al-A'raf.
إياك نعبد وإياك
Idil is an influencer / content creator. She started wearing hijab when she was 7 years old and she has been wearing it ever since. She grew up in an area where the only time she would see other Muslims was if she went to the masjid on Fridays or if it was Eid. Idil has always been used to being the only hijabi around. She was the only one in her friend group or the only one in her class. It made her feel like she stuck out and that she was alone. That's when she started her intention to create content. She wanted to build a platform where other women don't feel alone in their hijab journey and also feel confident in themselves. Idil showcases her love for the hijab and dresses modestly while also being herself. Idil, we welcome you to come sit up here.
But to me, modesty means protection.
Next question is, what role does modesty play in reflecting and nurturing your faith? Whoever wants to start can start.
I already answered that. So you have to talk.
The word nourishing, I think, is a beautiful word when it comes to that question. Because when we think of nurture, we think of our mothers, our parents, older sisters maybe. And if we define nourishing, it's something that gives you health, something that betters you, something that keeps you firm on where you're going, right? So if we think of the hijab as something that nourishes us, like I said, that modesty meant protection, right? You're nourishing yourself by not wanting to show off, because that's the whole point of the hijab, to protect yourself from wanting to show off in front of people, make yourself feel the word humble. You want to be humble. You don't want to show off to people like, oh yeah, I'm her. Because then you become cocky and you're kind of like de-nourishing what the hijab is for yourself. So I think it's keeping yourself healthy in the eyes of Allah and for yourself too, because then you start to, instead of focusing on what do you want to look like, you start to figure out, okay, who do I want to be inside? Let me not worry about what color I want to wear, or like, let me not worry about how I want to present myself. Let my words speak for me, because people are going to remember what I say and not what I dress that day. People are going to remember what effects I had that day instead of what kind of like shoes I had on, how fat my eyeliner was, or if my highlight was popping in the light, you know? So I like that you guys use the word nourishing. That's what I think of.
And definitely when I think of nourishing, when you're planting a seed or when you're planting a tree, it takes time. And I think when it comes to modesty, I think it takes time when you grow in your personal self and just kind of, yes, I thought I wanted to be a basketball player, but that's not what Allah had in store for me. And instead, like, I'm glad that I'm bettering myself, covering up myself more, being a better Muslim, and kind of saw that when I was coaching the young girls that I had. And I remember I was telling you guys the story at the table. I remember I was coaching basketball, and this young girl who never takes off her hijab got frustrated in the middle of a game, and she ripped her hijab off. And then I'm over here thinking, I'm nourishing this next generation of leaders, these young girls. I want them to become basketball players. I'm taking them from their mothers. And then she's over here ripping off her hijab. And I'm like, Ya Allah, what are these people in the stands thinking? What are these white people thinking? What are these non-Muslim people thinking that? Well, I'm like, they already think we're oppressed. They already think I'm forcing these girls. Like, not to make it a funny matter, but like when I was coaching basketball, majority of my girls either were wearing hijab. I don't ever force them. It's their own personal journey.
So if we're defining, just for the moment, haya as hijab, so it sounds like we're all answering it really sort of specifically about hijab. I have a fun story for all of you. I'm really old, okay? So I need you all to imagine a very, very long time ago in history. It was 1985, I kid you not. January, actually it was December 1984. And I was seeking a new religion. I had been a very active Christian. I had left Christianity, and I was on a path trying to figure out and find a new religion, okay? Walking with me? Can you imagine that long ago? I have to tell you something. There was no Google. There was no such thing as a smartphone. The only phone was the one on the wall with the really long cord. Really scary stuff. Yeah, it was really old. I mean, it's like no cars, no electricity. Just kidding. I'm watching you. There was cars and there was electricity. There were cars. Okay. Anyway, so I was on this path. I was really looking for a faith. And that by itself was a conversation. But one day, I was at McAllister. That's where I was at school, university. And there was a young man there. Don't get your eyes thinking something else. There was a young man there. I barely knew him. And we were talking about something, I don't remember what. And then I asked him, because I'm thinking about religion, I said, what religion are you? And he said, Muslim. I'm not even kidding. Like he was translating it into English. And I laughed at him and I said, ha ha ha, you're one of those people that put women in the closet and cover them in blankets. Yeah, he was doing that. And the conversation, like he was really mad, so he was trying to show me how that's not him. And to prove it to me, he told me about how his sister put on hijab and he and his father fought her. So I said, oh, you're double. You're also a liar. There isn't any woman in the world who put on hijab on her own accord. I was one of those white people. Long time ago.
Our next question is, what was your biggest struggle when it came to your personal modesty?
I'll answer that first since I'm always last. Imagining myself in hijab. So the first time I walk, you know the big picture windows? And you walk past it? I walked past it and I said, who's that weirdo? It was me.
For me, I always wore like the physical hijab. I think my struggle was as I got older and grew into like being a woman, the hardest thing is like being a curvy woman is really hard to find clothing that are modest. Even when I try, it's still hard to be modest. So I think till this day I kind of struggle with like just finding certain clothes that allows me to stay modest.
My struggle would definitely be before moving to Minnesota. I used to live in Arizona. So that's when all my friends, there weren't a lot of Muslims where I was at. But my struggle was just thinking the hijab was just the scarf on your head. So I would have my scarf, I would have some tight jeans, the nicest jacket, following the trends, but my hair is covered. That's all that I care about. But right now, the struggle I have is just prices. Prices of clothes, that's it. It's so high for what? That's it, that's the only struggle I have.
Do you think that being around different friend groups from people has an impact on your modesty and how you view your personal modesty?
Definitely, definitely. I had a friend group. Okay, so the questions I would always get asked. You ready? Are you bald under your hijab? I'm like, no, you can see the bump right here. I got hair. They would always ask me, okay, so where are you from? Oh, I'm from Somalia. You're Somali? Okay. So it's like these questions that I would think, wouldn't everybody else know what this is? Like if my hair is covered, wouldn't you think I'm doing it for religious purposes? But then I had to learn, just because they're my friends, our ethics don't line up. Our view of life don't line up. So that's when, as I was getting closer to Allah, as I was learning about His deen, as I was becoming more modest, I realized that as hard as it is for me, I have to let these people go. Because they're non-Muslims, they're locked in with their views. I would get asked, hey, there's a late start for school, instead of 7 o'clock, we can go in at 11 or 10. Do you want to go to the park? I'm like, yeah, let's go to the park. And they're like, okay, are you going to bring it? I said, bring what? I'm like, weed. Let's smoke. What am I wearing the hijab for? It's not just to cover up, I also have to protect my character. And anytime I would tell them that, they're like, okay, loosen up a bit, you only live once. That's the point. You only live once. Not only am I trying to
perfect, or not even perfect, you can't even perfect it, work on my iman. I'm also trying to work on the afterlife and my akhirah. And they just would not understand that. So when I moved to Minnesota, saw that my people were out here, I'm like, this is a little bit easier. Okay, we start to understand each other a lot more.
Our final question is, does external modesty have an effect on your internal modesty?
I feel like everybody is different. And it reminds me of this comment that I got from one of my videos. This girl asked me, how are you so confident in your hijab? Or how do you gain confidence when wearing the hijab? Because she wanted to start wearing it. She just didn't know how, she didn't know what to do. And I bluntly told her, I said, you just have to throw it on. Because you won't know what it will feel like to be a hijabi until you put it on. You can put it on for a day, you can put it on for an hour, just look at yourself in the mirror and stare at yourself for 5 minutes. You're like, whoa, I'm a completely different person. But then, like you said, you work from the outside in, so that's an example where you just throw the hijab on and you start to feel it inside. Other people, like Muna said, once you learn about the deen and once you start to learn about what the hijab is, you start to feel that guilt. You're like, Allah said to cover up. He's the protector, right? The hijab is to protect us. Then you start to feel like, okay, I know all of this stuff, and yeah, I'm not wearing my hijab, or yeah, I'm not working on starting to wear the hijab. And what we all need to realize is that we never know what anybody's going through when it comes to the hijab. You don't know their journey. And the one comment that I hate, and 9 times out of 10 is the men saying it, fix your hijab or don't wear the hijab at all. That's where I'm like, you don't know what she's going through. You don't know if she just converted. You don't know if she just started wearing the hijab. Maybe her family is non-Muslim and she's the only Muslim in her family and she's starting to get to know the hijab. Once you say stuff like that, it kind of like discourages her. She's like, okay, maybe he's right. I'm not wearing it, so I'm not wearing it right, so let me just take it off. You just killed her, a part of her iman. You killed a part of her identity that she was starting to work on. So I feel like depending on the person, you can work from the inside out, and then also you can work from the outside in.